Hi guys, it's Yusuke from Karate Dojo waKu, and we're trying something new today with my student Kai, who's originally from South Africa, lives in Holland right now. So could you briefly introduce yourself, Kai, to the Karate Dojo waKu, our YouTube channel?
Yes, of course, that I can do. So, as you've heard, my name is Kai. I'm originally from South Africa, but now I'm staying on Åland Islands, Finland. And I've been doing karate for about 4 years on and off now. And that's how I came across Yusuke. Um, yeah, and then I started doing online lessons with him when I moved here. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Kai, thank you so much for helping me with such a new I guess new type of video, and this is gonna be a podcast as well.
Yes.
So even if you can't be in front of the PC watching the video for 20-30 minutes, you can just pop on your whatever earphones you have and I guess learn about karate culture, karate techniques, and just the things I've been learning in Japan. So I
Yes.
guess as our very first episode, you kindly prepare some questions for us. Uh, I think, yeah, we wanted to talk about that water bottle practice, right? That I uploaded, I think like 2-3 months ago on YouTube.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought it would be a cool thing to go over, because before you showed it to me in one
Mm,
of our classes, I was struggling quite a bit with my blocks and certain
mm, mm,
techniques. And when you showed it to me, it really opened my eyes.
mm.
And I think it could be very beneficial if even more people heard more about it in depth, um, especially with someone like you explaining it.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
so
So
yeah,
I guess I
my
should
yeah,
briefly maybe explain what the drill was for, right? And
yes,
then
exactly.
we can deepen it from there. So I think what I explained in the video was I took out a water bottle, right? And
Yeah.
then I shook it from right to left and demonstrated how the water, like a wave, right, moves back and
Mm,
forth. And when you move it at a certain speed, when the bottle goes all the way to the right, for instance, the water inside the bottle hits that right side of the bottle. It basically carries on the water and concentrates on one side of the bottle. Well, if the bottle is like, let's say 50% empty, right? And when you do the punches, a lot of people, when they're looking for the power, they stiffen up everything and they try to push that through. So what happens is the weight now does not fully get thrown out as you're punching, but rather it's almost like you putting on a brake and hitting the acceleration button at the same time and trying to reach that power. I think that makes sense. Mm. So
yes.
what we want to do is to let go of that tightening and just let the weight get thrown out to the front. And to get that feeling, a lot of people say relax and everything, but it's really difficult to get that correct feeling. So you shake the bottle, you hold it in your hand, and by shaking it, now you can feel how the water is moving. So I think that was one good way for people to realize that your weight can be moved by staying relaxed. That was the whole reason why I made that video.
Yeah, I can definitely say from my experience
Mm.
in multiple dojos at this stage,
Mm.
um, just being told to relax when you're throwing your punches, it can definitely work for some people, I think. Um, but for someone like me, for example, I am in general a very tense person. So just saying relax, and I don't understand why I'm supposed to relax or how I'm supposed to feel while I'm relaxed, because there's a lot of different ways you can feel while punching relaxed. What do they mean? Do they mean I should relax my shoulders more? Is it more
Mm.
in my arm? Am I stiffened up too
Mm.
much? Um, and I think doing this really helps you get the feel for it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you can kind of understand what you mean by having that more relaxed feeling in your arm.
Mm.
It's not so much as there's no tension at all, because of course there's a bit of tension since you're moving. but you can get the idea behind the whole thing of being relaxed when you're doing a punch, for example.
Right. Yeah, it's a physical, karate. There's a physical side of karate on how to, I guess, control your body, and our words can only express what's happening to a certain point. We cannot explain everything that's happening to our body verbally, because it's something that, it's impossible, right? When you talk about, I don't know, the modern studies on medicine, for instance, we're looking at the body from the knowledge that we know already, but there are obviously things that we don't know. So it's a strong word to use, but I think it's very arrogant to think that your words explain everything, or the logic explains everything that's actually happening. So that's why I really value practices where you can feel the difference right away. So something like holding the bottle and moving it with the arm, you can literally feel the water move back and forth. So especially, this is funny because when I introduce that drill to kids, they pick it up faster than adults.
Oh,
because they just do this, and they're like, oh, okay. Like they feel it because they don't overthink it,
exactly.
And their senses are a little more, I guess, sharper than adults. Adults tend to, think everything in their head. So that was one funny thing I found as I was, showing that to kids especially. Yeah. Have you tried it out and got the feeling?
Yeah, so since we've had our lesson on it, I've been trying to practice every day with it. And I must say that the timings of my blocks and the timings of my punches have become a lot sharper, because it becomes to the stage where if I'm throwing a punch or if I'm blocking, it's almost like I can feel the water bottle there. It's almost like I can feel the water kind of going towards that direction when I'm doing it.
Right.
Yeah. And
although you don't have the bottle in your hand, right?
Yes, exactly. Even if I don't have the water bottle in my hand anymore, I can kind of feel that it's almost like a rhythm that it takes, right? And you can kind of match that up without even having it. And in turn, that makes everything feel a lot stronger as well. It makes your punches feel stronger. It makes your blocks feel more snappy. Because I always thought, when I just started out karate, I think like a lot of people, or a lot of people from Western countries, I got into karate because of the movie The Karate Kid. And I mean, if you're watching karate in a sense like that, it always looks like it's so, if there's fight scenes, it looks like it's so tensed up and rough. And that's how they're doing it so fast. So when I started karate, I was always very tense, and my shoulders were always very up top, and I could never get any speed out of anything. And then the next giant leap for that was when I started relaxing more. But even then, it didn't feel completely right. It didn't feel like if I watched you, for example, do something, it looked way more fast and powerful. But now, since I've started doing this, I can even see the difference in how my blocks and my punches look. So I think that's a very cool thing to have, especially because it's just a water bottle. Anyone can get it. It's yeah.
No, that's really nice. Like when you mentioned that, the movie Karate Kid, I remember the first movie that came out. I remember the fighting scene in the last tournament. Daniel, he fights like this.
Yeah, very, very tensed up. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then I remember seeing Daryl Vidal. I did an interview with him as well. He was one of the characters in the first movie, and I think he won up to the quarterfinals. And then what was the villain's name? Johnny beat him. But immediately, if you can look back to my reaction video on Karate Kid 1, Daryl is like super relaxed, and he's a martial art teacher right now. And
well, there we go.
They scouted him out from a martial art tournament. So if you do martial arts, you can really just immediately pick up that difference. He's like this, and then he throws the hand out. So I mean, of course, movies are made for the sake of making it look more powerful and faster, flashier. But that was one point that I really found out when I was looking at the movie.
For example, that's really cool. Like you can really, if you've got the experience of it and you've got the knowledge of it, you can really kind of scope out who is a martial artist and who is more acting and doesn't have as much experience. Because I suppose, like for example, Daniel in the movie, it was a lot the same. It was kind of thinking that it should be this tensed up thing, it should be this very tense thing, and sometimes it can look more flashy in a movie because there's a lot of editing and stuff. But it's just interesting to bring that point across, that you could see that a martial artist, someone who actually does it, is way more relaxed compared to someone. You could even see it in the movie how it came forward.
And like this drill, there were some phases to it. So I started with shotokan, and in the shotokan system too, you're told to relax. However, the degree of relaxation is not so high, I would say. People, if this is the maximum tension you can have, and if this is the maximum relaxation you can have, it's very small, the depth of relaxation. So although when I was doing shotokan, I thought, I'm pretty relaxed for a shotokan person, but when I visited Okinawa, they were like 3 times more relaxed. So I started thinking, wait, I thought I was relaxed, and these people are more relaxed. I see them hitting the bag and it's explosive. So that really, and that was like 3 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. And that really made me start to think, okay, what's the difference and what do they actually mean when they say relax? Because if you just relax, your hands won't move, right? There's gotta be a right balance and the right rhythm, or just the right order to do things. When do you start putting in the power? When does that finish, right? All those little details. And it's really hard to pinpoint every single second and explain what's happening in the body. So I was having a difficult time. I mean, I had a somewhat of a good understanding after visiting there and practicing back home. But first I was holding on to like those dumbbells, 2-3 kilos, throwing that's also a good practice because you can really feel that dumbbell hit your hands when you do the strike. But the demerit of that is you can refer to the feeling of the dumbbell at the start of the motion, because it's the heaviest moment your motion is starting, and the impact timing. Those two, you can feel the weight of the dumbbell. But the time between those two, while you're moving, the dumbbell weight doesn't, you don't really feel it. So you feel the start and the end, but the process, it's hard to pick it up just with the dumbbell. But when you do it with water is always moving. So it connects, the feeling connects the start and the end. So that's why I now prefer practicing with water now. Bruce Lee said your body is like a water too. And I think this drill really represents that.
It definitely does. I was actually wondering if could you elaborate more how you came across the water bottle? Were you just practicing around with things, or did it just kind of come to you that you could kind of feel that motion?
My initial thought was, if you hold on to a dumbbell itself doesn't move. Nothing inside the dumbbell moves. So like I said, I couldn't get the intricate feeling throughout the whole process. So then I was thinking, okay, how do I make the dumbbell move?
It's a bit tough.
It's tough, and I guess theoretically, if you get the dumbbell and then let's say you get those those cylinder of the toilet paper, and if
Yeah.
you put that, around the dumbbell, and you do something
That
like
could
this
work.
or like this, yeah, it could work, right? You
It could
feel the
work,
dumbbell
yeah,
move,
of course. Mm.
but considering friction and getting the right size for the
Size.
cylinder and everything, it's just too much. And then I
Mm.
thought, okay, then what moves like a fluid? Because the keyword that I usually use in my lessons is like flow, move fluidly. And then I thought, oh, then just use a fluid, just use water. And then I
There we
got
go.
the water bottle is like 500 milliliters. It's a little bit too small and too light for you to feel the water. But if it's around 2 liters, 1 liter, then it's decently heavy and you can really feel that water move on your arms if you hold on to it, like I did in the video. So that was the process I took. So
Oh,
yeah. It just came to
that's
me,
really
to
interesting.
be honest.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So,
And I mean, what a good thing, because for example, something like a dumbbell isn't necessarily something that anyone has lying around.
That's true.
And some of them are quite expensive, especially some of the adjustable ones. So having something like a water bottle or just a bottle that you used for like a drink or something, and you can use that, it's amazing, I think. So I also wanted to touch on how can others practice this at home in a way that is efficient enough, and how can they know that they're doing it correctly? What are things that they should look out for that they could be doing wrong? I think, for example, when I tried it the first time, I was still doing some things wrong because I wasn't quite grasping how I should be looking for the feeling. Do you have any tips or advice for them regarding that?
Sure. So the whole purpose of doing this drill is for you to feel the water moving as a whole, back and forth, which means if you take the water bottle and put it sideways, and let's say the water bottle, let's say you get it diagonal and then back to being flat, like up then down. Then what happens to the water is it separates. It doesn't stay together. So the first point that you should know is always keep the bottle horizontal when you practice the punches. When you keep it completely horizontal, the water moves as one, back and forth. So when you throw that bottle all the way out to the front, the water is going to concentrate together. If you, for instance, do extra shaking, right? Then the water doesn't move as one because you're shaking it. So be careful. Go slowly first. Take the bottle, take it horizontal, put it on your forearm, shake it back and forth slowly, and you'll realize that when you get it completely horizontal, the water, you can really control the water. But if you shake it in some way, you'll feel that the water isn't cooperating with your body. So that's the first point. The second point is for you to feel the water moving. Make sure it's filled up to like 70 or 60, maybe 80%. Basically, if you have too little space, the water is not going to move as much, so you won't feel that difference. You won't feel that movement. And if the water is filled up maybe to 10 to 30%, then the water is too little and you won't feel the difference. So I suggest 60, 70%. I think that should be enough for most bottles, and you can really feel that. Yeah, those 2 points, I would say.
Yeah, and I don't think I can give as much good advice as you, but you could correct me.
What was the mistake that you came across?
I can kind of elaborate on that. And you spotted it pretty much immediately. What I was doing, especially with my blocks, I wasn't really throwing the water bottle over enough for the water to be able to hit the thing. So I was just, like you were saying, I was shaking it more than what I was doing anything else. So I couldn't really get that feeling. So really,
Uchiuke,
making
right?
sure.
Inner block, was it?
Yeah. So yeah, just really, like you said, making sure that you can feel the water, making sure that you're turning your hand enough and at the right time that you can start feeling the water actually moving. Really helped me.
Right. Yeah, to elaborate on that, when you do the uchiuke, right, the inner block, where you take the hand from the inside to the outside, the water should come to the outside of the body. So for instance, if you're doing the inner block with your right hand, the water should carry on or come together on the right side of your body at the end. However, what Kai was doing was, I think you stopped the rotation like around the hammer fist point, and the wrist wasn't turned completely where the knuckles would face completely sideways. And as a result, when you stop the block like around the hammer fist level, the water won't come to the right side. It just comes down to the bottom, right?
Exactly.
So, but a lot of people are doing this, I think. So
I think it's a pretty common mistake, and you don't pick up on it without using the water bottle. That's another reason why it's so good. You don't realize that you're doing it until I thought I was blocking pretty good, and then I took the water bottle and I couldn't understand why it's not working. And then you explained to me, and as soon as I just made that little adjustment, it worked very well. And also making sure that the direction of which the block is coming from is all in a straight line towards the end point, and it's not coming from a line down below or up, like more up top. It's coming in a straight line across your body. Also really helped a lot.
Well, I guess the hand is moving in almost a straight line, but you gotta know that the weight is not moving in a straight line. It's like a half oval shape, you know?
Half oval. Yeah. No, of course, yeah.
The water, if you, and especially those blocks, right, where you turn your wrist a lot, those the weight itself is moving in a circular line. However, the hand is moving in a straight line. This is pretty
it's getting pretty in depth, but I think anyone can generally get the idea. If your hand's moving in a straight line and then you're adding the turn, in return the water is kind of going to be going in a half oval shape, in a curved shape, because of how the weight is being carried over. And that's just a cool thing to look out for, I think, in general. So I think we did go a bit maybe complicated there, but
I don't think there are any podcasts that go this deep. So I think it's good. And if you're, if you want to know exactly how you should hold the bottle for what technique, you can check out the video that I uploaded before. I'll probably put the link somewhere. But once you really understand the point, which is carrying the weight to the correct direction, then you can think about how you should hold the bottle and practice. So it's just the first few practices that you need to go through, and then from there you can probably use it for kicks too. If you attach the water bottle, tape it to the bottom of your foot, and you do like a front kick, the water should...
I haven't actually thought of that. That's actually brilliant. I'm gonna try that now after this.
I mean, I think now you can picture it because you've done it with the punches, right?
No, exactly. Yeah. So starting with the punches, and I suppose it can go very deep within a lot of techniques within karate.
Right.
How would you do it?
Oh, sorry.
How would I do it with? No, I'm interested now because.
How would you do it with a roundhouse kick, mawashigeri?
Oh, maybe
that's pretty difficult.
Tape the bottle sideways onto you, so it's like onto your leg.
You gotta have that strictly there, because if it moves, then it won't work.
Yeah, right? And you don't want to kick and then it goes flying off into your window or something. That is a good point, actually.
It's a bit difficult, maybe, with kicks.
It might be a bit maybe with a maigeri. It could work. It could work pretty well.
I think so.
But mawashi is a bit tough.
That's a bit tough.
I
I
would
mean,
say.
if you're kicking with the koshi, with the ball of the foot, then
Yeah.
you can tape it the exact way as your maigiri, and then
Ooh,
kick it.
camera
Right?
fell.
Oh, your camera fell?
Yeah, it's okay. We can cut that out.
It's okay. I'll just use the Zoom
Okay,
video.
cool.
But
But yeah, so I think if you're kicking with the ball of your foot, that could definitely work really well. Because like you said, you could just attach it that way then. So there, that's a good point, and I think that's actually something to go try out. For the most part, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, please give it a try. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I'll let you know when I go try it out after this how it went, if I kicked out a window or something.
Be careful.
And then what I wanted to touch on as well, because it's something that's quite personal to me specifically, but I think in general a lot of people can relate to it, especially if you're from certain parts of the world where karate is maybe not as accessible, or maybe it is accessible but you don't really feel comfortable in the dojo that's there, and it doesn't really vibe with you that well. What are some words of advice that you would give to people that want to do karate but, like I said, can't really go to a dojo, or don't necessarily want to go to the dojo that is accessible to them?
Right. I think it depends on your level too. So if you have already done karate, let's say a year, for instance, and you know how karate works, as in, okay, people do the basics to remember simple techniques, and then they do katas to, make that, put those techniques together, and some of them do kumite for a more for a more flexible, being able to adapt to more flexible situations. If you get that overall picture, then I think you can start looking at videos, or just have some sort of access online and develop in your way, or develop by yourself, because you already have some sort of a good base. So I watch a lot of martial art videos too, and I get ideas from there. And of course, the more high level you become, the easier it is for you to pick up different new techniques from other people. So generally speaking, the more, of course, advanced you are, I guess the faster you can learn. But if you're if you've never done karate but you don't vibe with your local school, right? I think that's very tricky.
That's tough. That's very tough.
Either find, what I recommend the most is to find a good local school, even if it seems like they don't have a good technique, you should at least try it out, because they know better than you. At least They might not be the best school, but for you to get again the overall frame or the overall idea of karate, I think you should at least go to a school for a few months or a year, or find a really good online school that teaches you well. Either of those two, I think. But practicing only through videos, without any interaction and feedback from other people, I think that's very tricky. I think feedback is a must, whether online or offline.
I 100% agree with you. I think it's one of the most important things to get the groundwork. Even if you're in a school that isn't necessarily as good as it could be, and you don't feel very comfortable, as long as people are respectful and they don't try and bring you down more than they try and bring you up and help you. I think that's all that's important, because there's a lot of terminology in karate, and there's a lot of things that you can watch and you can see, but it's a lot different if you actually have someone in person with you who has done it and who has a bit of experience with it, and they can kind of correct you. Yeah, so I think, like you said, finding either a really good online school, or just trying out the dojo for a few months just to get your groundwork done.
Right.
It's very important.
Or if you really cannot find a good local school or cannot find a good online school, then at least buy a punching bag or something you can hit so you can physically feel the difference. Or buy pads and have somebody hold it for you. If you could get somebody to do that, agree on that. And then you can, try out whatever you learned, book, video, whatever you like. Try that technique out and then get the feedback from that person who's holding the pad. I guess that works too, but it's of course you're doing it yourself, so it's a slower process, but if you enjoy that, that's fine too.
Yeah, I think getting someone like a friend or something is always a good idea, especially if it's something like any martial art. It's always a good idea because you always get to, don't punch your friends, that's not what I'm saying, but you always get to kind of test out and get a feeling for the techniques. Even if you're reading it off of a book, you can kind of get that feel for it, so I think that's definitely a really important thing to keep in mind. And maybe get a friend.
I practice a lot home by myself too, and having the bag, which you don't see on the camera, helps a lot because you can really feel the difference. And I guess if you don't want to purchase a bag, then you can at least purchase a dumbbell or something heavy, and you can hold that in your hand and try the technique. If you get the correct technique, the weight should feel lighter because you're moving your body in the correct way and you're generating more velocity. So that's another way to check if you're doing it correctly or not. But again, you have to hit something to check the impact. Even if you can move something heavy, that's different from you being able to hit strongly, right? So I guess that's at least the solution that works to a certain point.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's pretty much all the points I wanted to touch on today. I don't have anything else in my notes.
No, thank you, Kai. Well, I guess for today, the main point was to deepen what I've talked about in the water bottle video. So maybe in the next episode, if somebody or if any of you who's watching the video has any questions that you like us to talk about, you can comment down below. Or as we're having our weekly online lessons, if we come up with a good point that we'd like to share with everyone, we can of course branch that out to the audience too. So
of course,
I guess that was I really enjoyed it, Kai. Thank you so much.
Yes, I really enjoyed it a lot. Thank you very much for having me and allowing me this opportunity to do this with you. And
no. I'll see you guys next time. Okay. All right. Thank you. ありがとうございました。